Welcome back, everyone. We have a doozy of a story for you today. It's one that, if you told me this would happen 20 years ago, I would look at you like you were a Biden voter, but here we are, and it is real. So, what is going on in the state of New York? Before I get into that, I do want to kind of explain what's been happening for about a year now in several states. It started in one, and it has metastasized across several, which I think this is going to do the same. So Glock, particularly Glock Incorporated, has been sued by several states, several states' attorneys general, and what they are suing Glock for is because Glock switches are becoming more popular. And what is a Glock switch? Before we get into that, and I should note that the legislation here calls it a clock with a C, a clock switch several times rather than a Glock switch. But what a Glock switch is, and what they're referring to, is a device that will replace the rear portion of a Glock pistol, the rear end plate, and allows it to fire on full auto. There are several different variations, several different designs that are out there, and the reason they're becoming more popular is essentially because lots of Chinese companies have been making them and selling them on Chinese websites, and they've been coming into the US en masse. Now, I should note that unless it is a registered item made by a licensed manufacturer in America, these items are all illegal already by federal law. Installing them is illegal by federal law. Again, possessing one, with the exception of the rare exceptions of ones that are legally made, which is like probably less than 1% at this point. So my point in saying all that is that there are already laws on the books that prevent most of these devices that are out there in circulation. And why are they going after Glock? Well, in this lawsuit, it says that, or excuse me, this bill, I should say, it says that Glocks are particularly easy to convert. And that's simply not true. As somebody who manufactures firearms for a living, it's part of my job, that's not true. The reason these have become popular for Glocks is because Glocks are simply the most popular handgun in America, probably in the world as well. So if you're going to make a product that, fits a certain gun, you're going to make it for the most popular one. That just kind of makes sense. If you look around at truck accessories, the most popular ones you're going to see are going to be for Ford F-150s and Toyota pickup trucks, right? Because they're the most popular. That just sort of makes sense. The same is true here. And say, for example, Smith & Wesson M&Ps, which are probably the second most popular in America right now, you could easily make a device that would do the exact same thing and would work on the M&Ps. The same could be said for any striker-fired gun, any hammer-fired gun, not any. Most hammer-fired guns can also be converted, but using a different device. So my point in saying all that is that basically if you know anything about firearms and their design and how they function, pretty much anything that's semi-automatic can be converted to fully automatic with relatively little effort and little amount of parts. A small amount of parts is probably how I want to say that. So all that to say that what they're doing here in New York is insane, and they are essentially attempting to ban Glocks. That's really what it comes down to. They're trying to ban the most common handgun in New York by name, by brand. And there's an article here by the Moms Demand Action, who unfortunately is a group that isn't what you'd think it would be. When you hear the name, you'd be like, all right. But, no, not, not in this case. They're demanding communist action. And basically when this piece of legislation was announced, they put an article up, and I'm just going to quote it real quick. For decades, Glock has known that its firearms are uniquely susceptible to being easily converted into illegal machine guns. With just a screwdriver and a $25 auto sear, and refuse to do anything about it. That's a really poorly written sentence. With this new measure, New York lawmakers are telling Glock loudly and clearly that if they fail to take reasonable steps to fix this problem and to prevent these illegal conversions, they will be held accountable for the preventable acts of gun violence caused by their inaction. Now, again, they're already being sued civilly, and what this piece of legislation will do, if enacted, which it probably will be, is going to ban Glocks. Now, I read this piece of legislation. It is unclear as to whether or not people who own Glocks already in New York will have the possibility of confiscation enacted by this piece of legislation. But it is very clear that Glocks, moving forward, once this is passed, will not be allowed to be sold in New York. I say it's unclear because it says two different things in two different parts of it. I will leave a link for you guys to read this down below in the comments section. But bottom line up front, they're trying to ban Glocks in New York because you can illegally put a device that possession of is illegal already onto it. There's like 3 crimes that happen for anybody who does this, yet they're not blaming the criminals, they're blaming the company. So it redefines machine gun. And this is a slippery slope here on this one in Section 1 of the law. And basically, they go into what a machine gun is, but the sketchy part of it is, and also includes any convertible pistol that is equipped with a pistol converter. So they're saying that that just by itself is now a machine gun, which is not the definition of machine gun in federal law in any way. And as you can imagine, what they define as to be, a converter could be a lot of things, maybe like a Geissele trigger, for example. Does that now mean that because you can fire more rapidly, that it's a machine gun? Maybe. So it goes into define the pistol converter means any device or instrument that when installed in or attached to the slide of a semi-automatic pistol interferes with the trigger mechanism, again, interferes with the trigger mechanism, and thereby enables the pistol to discharge a number of shots or bullets rapidly or automatically with one continuous pull of the trigger. So what is rapidly? Define that. We don't know. Convertible pistol means any semi-automatic pistol that can be converted into a machine gun solely by the installation or attachment of a pistol converter. Again, as I said earlier, there's a reason I brought that up earlier. Basically, any striker-fired gun that's on the market can be converted in the exact same manner as these. You just need a device with different dimensions. That's really all it would be. But if you have a striker-fired gun that has a rear end plate, essentially, trust me, you can manufacture them into machine guns with these types of devices. So with that, if they're defining convertible pistols, I know they're targeting Glock. If you actually read the explanation, I believe they call it, of this piece of legislation, they talk about Glocks over and over again. But based on the way the law is written, it's not just Glocks. So it could be any semi-automatic strike-fired gun. It's pretty insane. And if we scroll down further in the piece of legislation, we find the exemptions, and they are exactly what you would expect them to be. So the exemptions are persons in the military service of the state of New York, when duly authorized by regulations issued by the AG to possess the same, police officers as defined, blah, 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 peace officers as defined, persons in the military or other service of the United States in pursuit of official duty, or when unauthorized by federal law, regulation, or order to possess the same. It continues on, but essentially all the people that the state uses to impart force upon you, the legal citizen, this does not apply to. This bill is insane. Again, you can read the whole thing. It's not all that long. And I don't think it will be the last one introduced. As I said earlier, there are several states now that are suing Glock over this issue. It's called lawfare by many news organizations, and that's exactly what it is. They're using the laws to attempt to take out the companies that produce the products that Americans want to enjoy. Obviously, it's an attack on the Second Amendment by a different means than they typically have been doing, but it just goes to show they will never stop. Obviously, New York State is what I guess began the process that gave us the Bruin decision out of the Supreme Court, which was the most important Supreme Court decision on the Second Amendment, at least in the last 50 years, I would say. And this one is obviously going to be challenged should it be passed, and I think it will be passed. Like I said, it's just been introduced. The New York State Assembly, they're ran by Democrats. Kathy Hochul is a rabidly anti-gun, anti-constitution governor. So I think this will go through probably relatively soon. And then, of course, the lawsuits will come out en masse, and there will be a ton of them. And I think New York, while I understand what they're doing, I think in the end will likely be slapped. The problem by the courts for this bill, the problem is it's going to take years to happen. Most likely. And during that time, New York citizens will be stripped of their Second Amendment rights. I don't have an answer for you. A lot of times I encourage people who live in these states to do something. I'm not sure there's much you can do in New York right now. Obviously, contacting your representatives, letting them know it's unacceptable, certainly won't hurt anything. Do I think it will help in this case? Probably not, unfortunately. I'm not a pessimist, guys. I'm a realist. So that is what's going on in New York. New York State is trying to ban Glock pistols by name. It's wild. Wild world we live in, but that is where we are at. So with that, guys, we're going to close the video out. A couple things to mention before we do so. If you guys like the video and you're not subscribed here, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well. And if you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, make sure you follow me on all my different social media pages, because that's where I share a lot of this stuff before we can, make the full video. Additionally, if you're not seeing those 2 to 4 videos, sign up for my email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month and it has all of the videos since the previous month's email went out, so that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes for my content. Additionally, we have daily deals. On a more positive note, on a good news story, we have a daily deals email. It goes out every day. It's been extremely popular since we've launched it, and it has 8 of the best deals that we find around the internet on guns, ammo, magazines, optics, accessories, etc. If the item is in the email on that particular day, it's the cheapest I know of anywhere on the internet, so that way it'll save you guys some time and also save you some money, because I've already done the research for you. There's also a good Pro 2A meme in there that a lot of people like. So if you like Pro 2A memes, sign up for the email. And with that, we'll close it out. Thank you all for watching. Look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.